You as a parent have the right to know what is being taught in your kid's school. You have a right to know what is in, say, a middle school library. And when you hear about the left talking about saying, oh, you know, they're trying to, quote, ban books, just understand, adults can do what they want, but do you think it's appropriate for a sixth grader to have access to books with hardcore pornography in their library? Most parents don't. And so now in Florida, they have an opportunity to fight back and stand up for what is in the best interest of their kids. We've also looked at all the curriculum and what's been going on in the schools, and our view is very simple, and we've just drawn a very firm line in the sand. The purpose of our school system is to educate kids, not to indoctrinate kids. We've done things like ban critical race theory in our K through 12 schools. And what you'll hear from the left and the media is, oh, well, they don't want to teach about slavery or civil rights. Just know in Florida, all of that is required to be taught by statute. That is not what CRT is about. Those are historical facts, and you teach all of American history. But what you do not do is you do not distort American history to try to advance your current ideological agenda. When you have things like the 1619 Project that the New York Times, of course, underwrote, and they want to get that into schools, they say that the American Revolution was fought to defend slavery, and that's false. You can look at why they rebelled. You can look, I mean, the dang thing started in Massachusetts. That wasn't exactly, you know, the head of what was going on in terms of the agriculture. So that's why they wrote pamphlets. They debated it. They talked about it. They listed different things. And that's just the fact. So what they're trying to do when they're doing those false historical statements is they want people to say, you know what, this whole country, the founding of it, they want people to think it was illegitimate or somehow fatally flawed. And in reality, it was the American Revolution that was the first thing that ever caused people to question slavery in the first place. It had been an accepted part of human life. All of a sudden now you're saying, you know, our rights don't come from a king or the government. They come from God inherently. Well, how can you justify having this? And so that really is what birthed a lot of the abolition movements. And so we just have to be accurate about that. And you know, the people on the left that believe in things like CRT, they're effectively taking the position on the American founding that Stephen Douglas did when he debated Lincoln. Lincoln took the position that it was a nation conceived in liberty, and that it was the principles of that would eventually, you know, provide freedom across the board. And Frederick Douglass believed that too. Stephen Douglas said, no, 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 the purpose of the founding was to basically preserve slavery. So the modern day CRT advocates would have taken the side of Stephen Douglas when he was debating Lincoln in 1858 in the Senate. So I believe Lincoln was right, I believe Frederick Douglass was right, and I think most people throughout American history have taken that view. It's also something that is used because they'll say, oh, there's no course labeled CRT. Where are you getting? Of course there's not. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about using those principles to be able to teach a whole host of subjects. And part of what they want to do with that is they want to categorize people's worth based on their race. So if you have some kid, if you're white, you're an oppressor. If you're black, you're oppressed. And they want to have collective guilt imposed on people based on their race. And they want to scapegoat people based on their race. And in Florida, we say that is wrong. We're going to treat people as individuals. We're not going to treat people as parts of different groups. And we're going to make sure people are judged based on their character and achievement and not based on the color of their skin. We're not going to be spending your tax dollars teaching kids to hate our country or to hate each other on the basis of race. But as you fight back against things like CRT, what we've done is we've put a renewed emphasis on American civics, on making sure that the kids that come through our schools have an idea of what it means to be an American, that they understand the principles that our Constitution was based off. They understand the Bill of Rights. They understand how all these key ideas really animated key parts of American history all the way up to the present. And to this end, we've created a program where teachers can earn the Civic Seal of Excellence, and they do this by going through a training that we've created that we consider like a civics boot camp. They go through the training, they get a $3,000 bonus. We've increased the ability for civics and debate throughout the state. We had about 10 school districts doing this 3 years ago. Now we have 60 of our 67 school districts are involved in the Civics and Debate Initiative. And part of the good thing about that is when you're debating, they will give you the topic and they will tell you which side you have to argue. So you may be an ardent gun controller, and they may tell you got to argue for Second Amendment rights. And so maybe that will cause you to question some of the assumptions that you have. Maybe it'll help you think a little bit more critically about issues. Maybe it will actually cause you to think about the way other people may view these issues and get outside your bubble. So I think it's good beyond civics. I think it's helping our students think critically. And we also believe that talking about American civics and American history should be done by comparing that to other systems. And so we signed legislation this year that November 7th of every year is a day for students in school to learn about the horrors of communism and communist regimes.